Welcome back, Nerglings. Today we are taking a look at my Bestigor. But before we start, be sure to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss an update. The Bestigor are so called because they are naturally the best Gor, stronger and afforded better armour and weapons than their disorganised kin. When a group of Beastmen carries out an ambush or other attack, the Bestigor are typically the front-line troops, closely supported by the Gor, with the Ungor harassing the enemy's flanks. The Bestigor are the elite of the Beastmen tribes, warriors that are blessed with the most spectacular horns and possess a mighty constitution and raw physical power that puts others of their kind to shame. They constantly enforce their superiority upon the Gor and Ungor, lest they become unruly. As well as being stronger, however, the Bestigor also tend to be more disciplined than their quarrelsome lesser brethren, forming more organised ranks in battle, while restraining themselves from their more disruptive excesses. Even so, brutality and violence simmer just below the surface of the Bestigor, ready to explode outwards in a savage display at any moment. Ordinarily, the ruinous powers pay little heed to the deeds of the Beastmen, knowing that the children of Chaos will enact their will regardless of any gifts or rewards offered. The Beastmen are utterly enthralled to the magnificence of Chaos, and are thus totally free of any constraints imposed by these malign gods upon their thoughts and actions. They do as they please, and, in doing so, serve Chaos with every shred of their being. So, let's take a look at my collection. As you can see, straight off the bat, I've included Skaven Storm Vermin, Classic, Citadel and Nightmare Miniatures models in this fab unit. They have a variety of weapons and armour, but for all intents and purposes are classed as Bestigor. A note on the Storm Vermin inclusion: I consider just about any crossbreed variants as Beastmen. So, Skaven, Lizardmen and others are all included in various ways throughout the army. These units actually contain the full release of Storm Vermin. See if you can spot them all. In my mind, they are a great stand-in model for the original Bestigor, as they come armed with great weapons just like their Beastmen counterparts, and fully donned out with heavy plate armour to boot. There are also classic Raupartha miniatures dotted throughout the collection too, which add even more variety to the units. This means there is a mix of pre-slaughter and slaughter-based models in each unit. Of course, you can't tell when they are ranked up, as I've used hollow-lipped 25mm square bases to ensure they rank up nicely alongside each other. You can get these from eBay in packs of 100 or more if you are interested in them. I think they are mandatory for including pre-slaughter models in your army, as you can mount the little blob of metal the miniature stands on down into the hollow and base over the top quite nicely. Ironically, I haven't included any original Bestigor in the army, simply because I don't have any of the models. The release was limited to 4 or 5 metal variants, which doesn't leave much in the way for modification or conversion. So I figured I would simply use all the armoured beastmen I could find as my Bestigor. Because of their size and ferocity, the Bestigor carve out a privileged position within the warherd, forming the chieftain's inner circle of retainers and enforcers. Theirs is a high honour, and they pledge to fight to the death for their beast lord. However, their garrulous and aggressive nature compels them to strive for ever greater dominance amongst the tribe. The chieftain must be ever vigilant for signs of a likely challenge amongst the Bestigor. Sometimes such a sign is manifested physically, a Bestigor's horns growing larger or more impressive, for example. Sometimes the first sign of rebellion will be when the Bestigor bellows a challenge and swings his axe at the chieftain's head. Any chieftain worthy of the title will detect such signs early and deal with the potential rival before he comes fully into his strength. Though plenty miss this ominous portent and fall foul of their striving kin. One day, though, a challenger will come who is stronger, younger, and far more vigorous than the current incumbent, and then the chieftain's own hide will hang bleeding in the wind from the challenger's totem. From here, this vicious cycle is repeated again and again without end. Status within a beast tribe is typically regulated by the strongest individuals within the group. Those wishing to obtain a higher position simply have to challenge an opponent of higher status in a brutal and often fatal duel. Okay, on to the second unit. This regiment includes some fab grenadier bugbears, more Raupartha sculpts, citadel and nightmare miniatures models too. In particular, there is a Beastmen war altar that is being carried by a couple burly fellows. This, I believe, was part of a Kickstarter campaign many years ago, although I'm afraid I can't remember who produced it. So please let me know in the comments below. Of course, no Beastmen army is complete without some old classics. In my opinion, the older the better too. Hence the inclusion of some of these truly ancient models. Again, I'm a slut for nostalgia. If I can squeeze more classic miniatures into a regiment, I will do my utmost to do so. Some of the Nightmare Miniatures models are truly classy, based on the original artwork from the Realm of Chaos books. They evoke every bit as much class and character as the original Citadel sculpts. In some cases, more so, due to the use of modern modelling techniques, but a close adherence to the original design work. As you can see, I have used the Storm Vermin Drummer and Banner Bearer in this unit, and I'm using my favourite Gor champion model as the leader. The spider-headed guy is another Nightmare Miniatures gent and looks truly horrifying to behold. Typically, Bestigors carry massive double-handed axes, crude in construction but large and heavy enough to split a man in two from shoulder to waist with a single swing. They wear solid, heavy plate armour and chainmail, usually scavenged from the civilized races, and beaten with fist and hoof until they fit the Bestigor misshapen and stinking anatomies, and cover their faces with hoods, often made of chainmail. This they adorn with all manner of grisly trophies taken from those that have put up a fight before being cut into pieces. One expression of the Bestigor's constant desire to prove their innate superiority is shown in their acts of desecration and defilement. They seek out the elite troops of the enemy army who inherently challenge their dominant status. Then they wield their huge axes, much as executioners' blades, hewing their foe limb from limb and trampling his body into the mud beneath their unshod hooves. Some powerful Gors have too much ambition to be willing to serve as a Bestigor and force their way up the hierarchy still further. At this point, these Gor leaders are known by many names, such as Beast Lords, Foe Renders, Gouge Horns, War Gors, Bane Beasts and Bane Gor. From here, the hierarchy becomes more complex. These different names are not merely local affectations, but precise statements of rank. These various Gor leaders will work together, each with their own smaller warband, banding together under one supreme leader of each horde. Fortunately, such cooperation is relatively rare, and the typical traveller will be most unlucky to be attacked by a beastman herd that is led not by one, but multiple leaders. The beastmen all worship the gods of chaos as the one true divine power of the old world. They are the product of their corruption and, as such, are wholly dedicated to the spreading of their will across all lands and beyond. As these beastmen pursue their endless hunt against all civilization, some beastmen commit such acts of savagery and bloodshed that the attentions of the dark gods themselves are turned their way. The third unit of Bestigor is made up from Citadel Pre-Slaughter, some more Nightmare miniature sculpts, Raupartha metals, with once again integral bases, and a mixture of shields from my bits box. I try to use metal shields where possible, and like to stick to old school miniatures, chunky ones, if they are suitable and match the style of the model. I'm not sure where the mutated Chaos Dwarf comes from, but I like him, and he looks suitably bestial to be included in the unit. The Night Horror's demon I decided to jazz up a bit and paint red for his sins. One of my favourite classic Citadel models is the Unicorn Beastman, a really nice sculpt indeed, of which there are two variants. Bestigor with boar heads are always nice and give the unit a bit more variety. Funnily enough, I didn't intend for most of the boar heads to be in this third unit, but it turns out that's what happened. I really like the unit champion here. He looks like he has seen a lot of action, fully decked out in heavy armour and matching shield. Note the matching movement trays which I got from Products for Wargamers, a custom MDF company that can make movement trays to your specifications. I highly recommend them. Well, that's just about all I have for you today. Join me next time for some more wargaming content. Thanks very much for watching. Peace!